G'day folks, and welcome to this introduction and overview to Operation Theseus, Gazala 1942. This is a 2022 publication by VUCA Simulations. It was designed by Dirk Blennemann, and it's in a way an evolution of his 1994 publication Triumphant Fox, Rommel's finest hour, the Gazala battles, May to June 1942. But really, in this period, it's been upscaled. The graphic design, the quality of the publication, everything about this game has really been uplifted to the modern era. So yes, I should also point out this was a review copy provided by VUCA Simulations. So thank you to VUCA. Please take that in mind throughout my commentary and throughout the subsequent videos I do on this. I think very highly of the quality of design and manufacturing of VUCA Simulations. I think they are at the top of the industry for the quality of their designs, but take everything I say with a grain of salt, noting that this is a review copy. This is a mounted map. It covers the North African theatre around Tobruk, El Adem, down to Bir Hakeim, and it covers the fighting there in mid-1942, May, June 1942. What are we looking at? So this is the same system that was used in Crossing the Line, Arc in 1944, but around Gazala. It's amazing how they have taken this desert terrain and made it look amazing. You have got the clear terrain. You've got broken terrain, which mainly affects the movement rates for mechanized units, gives you a slight defensive AT bonus. You've got various hills, 0.182 out here. There are some more along the coast, some out here, which again give you a better AT bonus and may increase the movement rates. You've got various villages and points of interest. Bir Hakeim is out here. This is probably, you've got Tobruk up here with its sort of ring of minefields, and you've got Bir Hakeim, you've got sort of roads leading throughout. What else do we have here? Gazala is up in the top left, El Adem here, and yeah, this road network, road and trail network. Roads are these darker lines, trails are the thinner lines weaving throughout. There is Tobruk up in the top there, and then the other key distinguishing feature is the ridge and wadi up here, for example, effectively barrier to your movement. So they kind of funnel you. They serve as, barriers on the map. So mounted map, beautiful map. I don't think I've ever seen this environment look so amazing on a map. There are administrative tracks around, so this is the sort of Axis administrative area, there's the Commonwealth administrative area, there's a general game track, so you've got the turn track running along here, you've got the initiative DRM track and the DRM track and a couple of little counter spaces over here, and then you've got mounted player aids. So this is, you get 2 of each of these. It's a 2-player game, so this is player aid chart A and player aid B, and there are 2 of each of these so each player can have their own chart. They are mounted, very thick, sturdy mounted player aid charts, and the counters are thick, sturdy VUCA Simulations stock. In addition to these you have these sort of player charts. You can also use this off-map chart if you want. So if you don't want to have to use these, you can use this chart, which I'm leaning towards. I think this will make it easier to, as a solo player, to have everything on the one chart. So when I get to the campaign, I will be using that. For now, I've just set up just for convenience. There are 3 scenarios. There's this little introduction scenario, which I'll be running through just to reacquaint myself with the rules. Then there's a turn 1 to 4 scenario and a full 8-turn campaign scenario in effect. The system, as I said, is the same as Crossing the Line. It revolves around formations, formation activations, using those activations to gain action points, and then spending those action points to do things principally with your formations. There are independent units which you can also spend actions on, but mainly most of the units seem to be formation oriented. So how does this work for those of you who are not familiar with the system? The way it works, I'm trying to find the chart. The way it works is, here it is, player A chart B. You roll for initiative, and whoever gets the higher roll gains the initiative. They can pass. You don't want to do that very often because then you're done for the phase. You can pass initiative over to your opponent if you want, if you're really defensive and want to see what they do. Most of the time, you will be seizing that initiative to activate a formation. When you activate a formation, as I'll be doing here with the Italian Ariete formation, I look at their formation. I will look over here at their formation activation level. I will cross-reference that with this chart. I will roll a dice and I will check that against the die roll. So if I've got a 6 here, I look at the black number, it's 6. I now have 6 activations for this formation. They then slide down to the next lowest level. So they can do that 6 times throughout the course of this phase. 6 actions now. What do I want to do? Now I go to the action type summary, and you will memorize this very quickly. You can spend these actions. The actions are move, breach minefield, conduct a refit. This is particularly if a unit is disrupted. It's the only thing they can do. They can refit back to their healthy side. Improve defense, and then there are 3 types of attacks. Hasty attack, regular attack, costs an extra 1, or a prepared attack, costs 3. The more points you spend on the attack, the stronger it will become. Okay? And that's basically it. You spend your points to activate your units. They move, they attack, they try to do what you want them to do. One of the distinguishing features of Operation Theseus and Crossing the Line is the reaction opportunity. So your opponent, there are certain things, mainly movement, that can trigger their opportunity to react. So if this was a 2-player game, for example, as I move adjacent to the enemy, they can opt to, they wouldn't be able to in this scenario, but in a fuller game, they would be able to react. How would they do that? Well, again, they can assault their activation level. Let's say I have their counter and they're somewhere on 4. I look at the 4, they roll a dice. Actually, first of all, sorry, they need to roll, make a reaction check. If they pass that reaction check using their headquarters, they roll. If they get a 4, okay, so it's a 4, 4. We then look at the red number, and this is how many reaction points they get. So both players are active in the game. You've got the phasing player, but the inactive player, the reaction player, does always need to pay attention. This does make it challenging. I know from Arkan, Crossing the Line, that it does make it challenging to play solo, because every time you're doing these movements, you have to suddenly flip. IGO-UGO systems are great for solo play because you focus on one side and you move through everything. This is a challenge for a solo player because you move and you've got to think. Flip sides, flip your thinking and think, do I want to react to this? I know when I played Arkan, it took a while to adjust, and I'm prepared for that adjustment in playing this. And that's basically it. That's what gameplay revolves around. Activations, actions, activations, getting your action points, spending those action points, moving, attacking. Combat is fairly straightforward. You bring your factors in. Let me remind myself of the various shifts. That's a summary of various effects. Here's the combat results table. There's not a great deal. Here we go. Here's a summary of the combat sequence. Retreat before combat, combat escalation. The main thing you're considering is combat support. This is where adjacent units are lending their support. There are variable combat multipliers, which I find very interesting. This creates another element of uncertainty and randomness. You can get combined arms bonus, ground support, DRM determination, and then you're looking at a CRT and a fairly straightforward combat result. There is, as you can see here, various game effects: disruption, isolation, there are supply paths. The main thing you're focusing on for supply is your formation HQs. They are critical. They are critical also for formation integrity. You do need to keep your units close to your headquarters. There are various out of supply effects. Command ranges are important, and there are out of command effects as well. So units that are out of command have limited actions they can do, and their actions become more expensive if they're out of command. So it encourages you to keep these formations together, not to just spread your formations out all over the place. So, formation integrity is important. So this all sounds very simple. What I've described here is probably a relatively moderate complexity system. What I find fascinating about Crossing the Line and Operation Theseus is the fact that it actually plays, there's a lot of depth to the play, because each of these units has a strength, and their strength, when they take a hit, their strength is reduced, and you track it by these counters which you place underneath the unit. So a unit isn't just there and then it takes a step loss and it's gone. A unit can potentially have many step losses, and it gradually grinds down in strength, meaning that it's not just one attack and you're done. The focus for Bir Hakim, for example, can slowly grind down these French units. You can see these French, I think they are, I want to say demi-brigades, I could be wrong there, but they are slowly ground down from their strength of 6 and 8 to lower strengths. And it's not going to be one attack. They will slowly be ground down in strength over many turns. And this, it does, not over many turns, but over many operations cycles, over many actions and formation activations. So whilst it's only an 8-turn game, it's in effect a monster game because of the long duration of gameplay. This will take hours and hours, I want to even say, estimate dozens, potentially dozens of hours to play through the full 8-turn game, because each turn, with all the various formations, let me try and bring up that chart again, with all the various, here it is, with all the various formations on the map, with potentially many formation activations for each of those formations, and with each formation activation potentially having many actions available, there is a lot going on in what superficially seems a fairly straightforward game. It's a one map game, relatively low counter density, relatively light rules. So let me show you the rulebook. Here is the rulebook. It is technically 33 pages long with a wonderful index. Look at that index. But in fact, the rules effectively stop on page 24. And it is well illustrated. So you've got 24 pages of well illustrated rules, relatively little of which will be foreign to many experienced gamers. So in effect, you have a very accessible, medium complexity monster game. A game that is going to be a little bit of a challenge to wrap your head around, but then which you can sink your teeth into for dozens and dozens of hours. I know this from playing Crossing the Line and from rereading the rules here. I'm familiar with the system, somewhat familiar, a little bit rusty, but I'm going to be reacquainting myself with the system. And I know how this will feel to play. I don't exactly know how the campaign will run, but I know that this 8 turns is not going to be done in a single day. It is going to be a big investment of time. And I love that. I love this balance between moderate complexity, light counter density, a system that's relatively easy to understand, but that is big. And we saw that with Crossing the Line. People love that Crossing the Line, and I'm anticipating a similar experience with Operation Theseus. So, folks, as I said, I'll be doing a quick little run through of Bir Hakim just to try it out and reacquaint myself with the system, get the get the bugs out of my understanding, and then I'll be jumping straight into scenario 3, which is the Gazala battles, game turns 1 to 8. Yeah, so this is scenario 2, the opening phase, first 4 game turns. This is effectively the full campaign. So folks, that is VUCA Simulations Operation Theseus. A big thanks to VUCA Simulations for providing this review copy. Thanks everyone for watching, and take care.